We're going to quickly shift our focus to latest news coming in from Sri Lanka. Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the series of bomb attacks that ripped through Sri Lanka on Sunday. Easter Sri Lanka terror attack, the latest that we are picking up. ISIS has claimed responsibility. This development, this news attributing to Amaq news agency. Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the Sri Lanka bombings. My editor Niranjan Narayan Swamy is going to join us in a moment with more details. Remember, this is coming at a time where the visuals, the CCTV footage of that deadly Sunday attack has already emerged. The preliminary investigations have also revealed that what happened in Sri Lanka was in retaliation for the attack against Muslims in Christchurch. Well, that's the latest line that we're getting to hear from Sri Lanka's ruling dispensation. A while back, one of the state cabinet ministers made the statement. Niranjan on phone line as we stay with those visuals. And the latest, Niranjan, over to you. ISIS finally claiming the responsibility.
Well, we're not sure if it is ISIS or the group that has been named by the Sri Lankan government, but the latest update that's come in from news agencies that has been carried across news agencies across the world is that ISIS has taken responsibility. Now, this is the latest report that's coming in, and what we can also tell you is that this comes minutes after the state minister in Sri Lanka, the junior defense minister in Sri Lanka also said that this was in retaliation to the mosque attack in New Zealand. So there have been three big developments. One, of course, the CCTV footage has been doing the rounds. Second, the Sri Lankan government has said this was a retaliatory attack to what happened in New Zealand in the mosques. And third big development in Sri Lanka, that ISIS has claimed responsibility. Now, this is what the group's Amaq news agency, that's AMAQ, has said on social media. According to latest news reports, the Amaq news agency has said that Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the coordinated bombings in Sri Lanka. 321 people were killed, over 500 injured. Now this is a little contradictory to what the Sri Lankan government had earlier said, that it was the Tawheed Jamaat that had claimed that was responsible for the attack. Not sure whether these were ISIS affiliates or whether this was a joint coordinated attack. But of course, these are initial stages, and we can't say more. But we just have to go by what news agencies are reporting. And as per the group's Amaq news agency, that is Islamic State's Amaq news agency, they have claimed responsibility for this attack.
We'll have to see how the government there really reacts to this claim by ISIS. But Niranjan, you've been tracking it very closely. Remember yesterday, the government there said that they do believe that there is a foreign hand involved. And then, of course, the outfit that they tried to claim the responsibility for this attack. And now ISIS, through agencies, claiming that it was done by them.
Well, there have been several reports, in fact, in the last couple of days, Sakal, because, see, first of all, the Sri Lankan government yesterday went on record to say that, they will need help of foreign governments in investigating this attack, because they said that we are at this stage not capable of doing this by ourselves. They said that they will need international organizations to also help. But what is also important at this stage is that if there is, because there were also reports, remember there were stray reports that emerged of one ISIS link. Remember on Sunday, the day of the attack itself, initial reports suggested that it may have been an ISIS attack. It was too early. But the fact that ISIS has now claimed responsibility, now hinting at a larger international sort of a plot to the Sri Lankan attacks. And the Sri Lankan president himself had gone on record to say that intelligence agencies have reported that there were international organizations behind these acts of local terrorists. So it may not be an isolated, just a Sri Lankan plot, but a plot that involves more than one nation. And the fact that ISIS has now claimed responsibility, we will have to wait and watch how the story unfolds, because initially there were some reports that suggested that there may have been role of Pakistan-based groups as well in this attack. So this comes on the back of all of these developments, and yesterday Sri Lankan government also went on record to say that we will need help of foreign governments to probe this attack. So probably a larger global international plot that is unfolding.
All right. Niranjan, we continue to stay with the story. A bit more about these visuals that we broke first on Republic a while back. The visuals of the attacker there. A bit more on that.
This is the Saint Sebastian Church in Negombo. The visual that you're looking at, the CCTV footage is from the Saint Sebastian Church in Negombo, which was one of the targets chosen by these terrorists. And this was the CCTV footage. This is rather the CCTV footage that is being broadcast by the state media in Sri Lanka. You can see the suspected suicide bomber walking with a backpack. It's a big backpack, and he also has a buckle around his waist, hinting at how he may have been strapped with IED. Now, there are also reports, and this has been widely reported, of how a pastor at the church also stopped one of these attackers and confronted him. Now, all of that is not visual, not evident in this visual that has been broadcast by Sri Lankan media. But in one of the locations, one of the suicide bombers was confronted and was stopped and questioned. But he was still allowed inside the church, and he went and sat and then, blew himself up. Now, there was also another report of how in another church, one of these suicide bombers was sent out. He was not allowed to enter, and once he was sent out, he, detonated himself. Now, all of these are, of course, reports and first-hand accounts, eyewitness accounts. One pastor also, went on to, talk about how he saw the suicide bomber himself. Now, this visual particularly that you're talking about. This visual is from the Saint Sebastian Church, where several people were killed in the suicide bombings. One of the first images, in fact, that came out on Sunday was from the Saint Sebastian Church after the explosion took place. Now, also the big development as we broadcast this afternoon is that ISIS has claimed responsibility for the Sri Lankan bombings. ISIS has issued a statement through its news agency AMAC. This comes after Sri Lankan government also, spoke about how it was an international. Initially, it believed that they were international organizations that were behind the acts of these local terrorists. Sri Lankan government went on record to say these were international organizations behind acts of local terrorists, hinting at perhaps how they collaborated with people who are based in Sri Lanka. Now, what they also said on record, and it's important to know that the government has decided, that is the Sri Lankan government, has decided to gazette the anti-terrorism legal clauses to be effective with effect from midnight yesterday, adding that they would need the help. They said, we don't believe that these attacks have been carried out by a group of people who are confined to this country only. This is an international network without which these types of attacks could not have succeeded. So they have gone on record to say that this was an international plot. 320 people have been killed so far. That death toll has been rising because over 500 people are critically injured. And you see this, the kind of attacks, coordinated attacks that have taken place across Sri Lanka. The nation is on high alert. We'll keep getting you the latest. Handing it back to you for now, Sakal.
Yes. Niranjana Ranjwami getting us the latest inputs. ISIS claiming responsibility, and this bit of a development coming at a time when the investigators there in Colombo are already hunting for the clues whether it was a local Islamist group, as they named earlier and identified as a National Tawheed Jamaat. And also remember the government saying that they suspect some sort of international support coming for this local group. And now the latest is that ISIS, through an agency, ASMA, claiming responsibility for these series of deadly blasts which left more than 300 dead. Well, we take a short break here and we will be back with more news and updates.